My name is Obinje. Oh, your one and only relationship enthusiast. Today, I want to talk about 10 signs on how to spot a fake girlfriend. Sorry, girls, I just have to spill the beans out because we have a lot of fake girls out there who are, breaking hearts. Most especially when they know that they're not really into that person or into that guy. They don't see a future. So today, I'm going to spot 10. So today, I'm going to, give the secret out to guys on how to spot a fake girlfriend. And if you really want to know those signs, even as a girl, because you have a brother, you have an uncle, you have a cousin who is dating some girl that you can't really get your mind straight on her, then you'd want to sit down and know what those signs are. Guys, you're welcome back. And like I said, I'm going to be spilling the beans out. Yeah. So, what is the first sign? In no particular order, what is the first sign of a fake girlfriend? You want to know? She never calls unless it's time to ask for money. So, we are in a relationship and it's a two-way thing. Guy is calling, girl is calling. But the only time she calls is that I want money, I want this, I want that. And of course, she's let it out to you. And because you think you have a girlfriend, you have that loving girlfriend, you're running helter skelter just because you want to, meet up with her demands. So that's one sign to know that you have a fake girlfriend. She only calls you when it's time for money. She's always complaining, complaining, complaining. She's complaining about this, she's complaining about that. Nothing ever meets standard or nothing ever meets her taste. She gets easily irritated. Come on. Everything is unnecessary. Even when you think that that thing makes sense, it's unnecessary to her because it doesn't meet her taste. So, in other words, she's high class and everybody is low class of a low taste, always finding faults. That's a sign that this is a fake girlfriend. Another sign, guys, that this girl you're dating is a fake girlfriend is that she's only available when money or connection is involved. Any other thing, girl, she ain't interested in that. So she wants to know how you can connect her to this person or to that person, or let's go balling today. She knows that, oh, there's a lot of money to be spent today. She's going to clear her calendar just because she wants to partake in the goodies. So that's another sign to spot a fake girlfriend. Another sign to spot a fake girlfriend. So you see, when we get into a relationship with guys or ladies, one thing that we usually talk about is how our future is going to be. We'll talk about our plans, our goals, and all of that. Girlfriend never talks about these things with you. And even if you're talking about it, she's less and less interested. And it's simple. That's because she doesn't have plans with you. So while you are making all those plans or you are initiating those conversations, she is the least interested in all of that. So another sign to spot a fake girlfriend is the sign of she has this mentality of friends with benefits. You get it? If you don't understand what is friends with benefit, then I don't know what you understand. She wants to eat her cake and she wants to have it. So that's the mentality she has, that everything is open in this relationship. There are no strings attached. There are no, possessions. There are no, your mine and yours. She wants you to know that, okay? That's another sign to know that she is a fake girlfriend. Another sign is she's not interested in your goals. She's not interested in your ideas. She's not interested in those big plans that you are always talking about. This is somewhat like the plan of, your future together that you might be talking about, not how. So when you are giving her your dreams, your goals, just the way each and every one of us, we always talk about the things that we'd want to do, the explorations that we'd want to undertake, the dreams that we have. This girlfriend of yours is not, concerned about it. Some, not even in this lifetime. That's a sign to know that she is a fake girlfriend, because you'd expect that that lady that you're dating, that lady that you obviously you'd want to, marry, should be interested in these things, because she wants to know where she sits or where she stands in your future. But when she doesn't show any, iota of interest, you just have to sit down and rewire your head and know that this girlfriend is damn too fake. Another sign to let you know that this girlfriend of yours is a fake girlfriend is the fact that she takes advantage of you on the slightest opportunity that she has. Most especially when she knows that the love you have for her is unimaginable. She's going to use you to play ball. She's going to take you on a ride. She's going to take you on a roller She's going to take you on a roller coaster spin ride. Everything you do for her, she doesn't value it. Your love is with a price. So she's going to take advantage of you. And of course, I don't know if you will get it now or if you're ever going to get it. But when you feel that you've been taken advantage of by your girlfriend, then you know that she obviously doesn't have you in mind. So that's one sign of a fake girlfriend. Another sign of a fake girlfriend will be that girl that has a lot of male friends, that even in your little head you're not comfortable with them hanging around her, and she keeps introducing them to you as friend. This is my friend, this is my friend. She has an answer as to where and what each of them is to her in her life, but she's going to be telling you that this is my friend, this is my friend that I met way back here, I met way back here, I met there, and I met here, and I met everywhere. Honey, just like you are in her life, that's the way these so-called boyfriends are in her life. Each of them is playing a script in her life, okay? Each of them has a purpose in her life, and just like you, because that's exactly what she's going to be telling those guys, that you are a friend. Maybe you're a friend that she met in school, or you are a colleague at the office, or you are a friend to a brother, a sister, or whatnot. So she's going to categorize you just as she's categorizing those guys for you. All of you have a purpose to meet in her life. So just know that when your girlfriend begins to introduce different guys to you as a colleague, a cousin, a friend, an uncle, this and that, just know that this is one of those fake girlfriends. Another sign that this is a fake girlfriend is that she is always comparing you to others. She wants the big life, even though she knows that you cannot afford it. But let's just assume that you can afford it, but you're not someone who is going after the big things. She's going to be comparing you to your friends. She's going to be comparing you to other people she sees on the road or on the streets or anywhere. She's going to be comparing you. That's the watchword. She's going to be comparing you to others. She wants you to follow in this fake life that she's living. And girlfriend doesn't care. She's going to use her sweet sugar-coated tongue on you, and if you fall hook, line, and sinker, when she's done with you, you would know that you've been hit badly by one of those fake girlfriends out there. So watch it for most of those girls that are always comparing. Of course, we want our guys to meet up to standard. We want our guys to treat us nice. But when you keep comparing him to people around him, compare him to even people that he doesn't know, just because you want him to satisfy that fake life of yours, boyfriend, brother, you got to know that she's just one of those on the loose. The last but not the least sign of spotting a fake girlfriend will be that she's always demanding money. Of course, it's not bad to give your girlfriend money every once in a while, but when your girlfriend begins to demand more than you can keep up with, and there's never ever proof of what she's done with the money, or let's just say today she demands, and before you can get over that, she's come back tomorrow demanding, you should know that this one this one doesn't mean well for you, because every time she's asking for something, and Most times when you check it, those things that she's asking money for are very irrelevant things, things that she can do without, things that she doesn't necessarily need, or things that you feel that she just wants to put up, appearances for. Then you should know that this one doesn't mean well for you. So she's just one of those fake girlfriends. So guys, you've heard it all. The list is endless. What I just do here is to come and give you people some tip about certain things, and today I've given you guys tips on how to spot a fake girlfriend. If you have any contribution on how to spot a fake girlfriend, then I'd love to hear it in the comment section. And of course, I'm going to bring you the signs on how to spot a fake boyfriend. This wouldn't be complete if I just hammer on only the girls and I let the guys go scot-free. What is good for the goose is also good for the gander. So till I come your way with my next video on how to spot a fake boyfriend, did I say it's bye? If you did love this video, give me a thumbs up, and of course I want you guys to share this video around with your friends. I'd love you to do the needful. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I want you to do it right now. This is the moment that you'll be waiting for. Subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, so that every time I post a new video, you will get that notification. So bye.